Now we can talk to our reporter Guanxin, who is standing by for us in Hangzhou. Good to have you with us, Guanxin. Now, Hangzhou, as we mentioned, is one of China's most developed cities and a pioneer with regards to economic reforms. What can the rest of the country and the rest of the world learn from Hangzhou?
That's right, Chou Yuan. We all know that Hangzhou is a very beautiful city, but fewer people know that Hangzhou is one of the most dynamic region in the country. Hangzhou's GDP has been growing at double digit for 5 consecutive quarters, and behind that is a very strong private economy, unlike more cosmopolitan cities like Beijing and Shanghai, where large state-owned enterprises are playing a big role in the economy. Here in Hangzhou, the small and medium-sized enterprises or even micro businesses started by households are the pillar of the local economic growth, and that is in line with China's economic reforms, which is market-oriented to let the private sector play a bigger role in the future economy of the country. And Hangzhou is also making efforts to upgrade its economic structure. We know that Internet Plus strategies behind the previous round of industrial revolution of the city is now home to more than 1/3 of the country's e-commerce websites, and in the future, information technology will play a key role, and IT-related economic growth has contributed to about 45% of local GDP growth. So these technologies will give Hangzhou a competitive edge in future competition. So a lot to look forward to. We can learn a lot from Hangzhou's experiences.
Definitely. Well, China is the chair of this year's G20 summit and the world's second largest economy. How is that going to affect the agenda at this year's summit?
That's right. We have seen a lot of changes on the agenda of the G20 summit this year. For example, innovation is topping the 4 themes of the G20 summit, and that marks a transition from the crisis management mode in the past to a long-term sustainable growth path, and that has been praised by a lot of international institutions, including the United Nations, and the IMF also says China is leading the structural reforms by launching its pushing ahead with structural reforms, which is going to have longer-term impact on future economic growth. And China believes that structural reforms will be the fundamental driving force for future growth, and it will formulate top-level design for structural reforms, and that include 9 prioritized areas and 48 guidance for structural reform for the world economy in the future, and that includes innovation in technologies, labor market reforms, more opening of the world trade and investment, among other priorities. And those will change the only pure monetary stimulus in the past and to shift to structural reforms field, innovative growth path in the future. Zhou Yuan.
Many thanks, Wenting, joining us in the city of Hangzhou.